Hello, people of the world watching internet videos that have to do with cars. Welcome to this. My 1974 Toyota Celica ST with a Toyota Tundra V8 stuffed under the hood. If you're new and you like to get caught up on the last video where I worked on it, up above the roof of this car is either a link to that video or it also could be a potion to curing foot dandruff. First objective. That's not okay. A couple of videos ago, I had to do some slight modifications to the front wheel wells to accommodate for the much larger, wider width wheels than what came on here from the factory, which was essentially a 13-inch pizza cutter. And subsequently, the backside of the wheel well is also the place where you have to put your feet. So some of the sound deadening was knocked off in the process, and I can't leave it like that. Oh, this is gonna suck. These are self-resetting breakers in various amperage. In this corner is where the power cable goes, and power flows that way towards fuse boxes, which makes the most sense to make a breaker panel. In order to know where the wire must go, I must know where the wire must not go. And there's only one way I'm gonna figure that out. Ouch. Luckily, some of these hardware bags are still legible. Oh my god, this is so difficult. Ow! In today's video, Sarah makes a bunch of unflattering camera angles of crawling under a dash, doing stuff in which you can't even really film. Thing is spreading. Ouch, 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 ouch. This is what it actuates, because common sense would dictate that. Holy hot mustard packet. I'm getting sharp objects in places sharp objects don't belong. Well, that doesn't feel good in my eyeball. This is probably not good for my spine. These cable-operated HVAC controls must be adjusted just perfectly or else they'll bind when you go to operate them. Fresh. Recirc. Okay, so now I need to make my bracket. It's a good spot for a bracket right here. Already threaded nuts and everything. This is 2 threaded nut plates into this steel frame. And then there is a lip right here before the bottom of the glove box. I'll take a wild guess. I'm completely winging it. I have no idea if this is actually the shape. We shall see. Oh, that was really good. This needs to get straightened up. All the sound deadening came off in this area when I had to modify the wheel well. And while I could sit here for an hour and a half tracing out the exact shape of where the sound deadening fell out, it would make a lot more sense to just trim it to a nice square uniform shape. That way I can cut out a patch panel to match. This is sound deadening tar, just like what's on there. Template. When in doubt, grab a chunk of cardboard and make it on that first so you don't waste materials. That'll do. That'll do. Something along the lines of this. I think I can cut through this. Not that thick. A lot of people asked when I had the carpet out of this thing why I didn't put sound deadening down. See? That fits perfect. This stuff's super sticky. And now you see why I didn't, because the entire car was already covered in it from the factory. Get a little bit of heat gun action. You want to see a big battery die fast? Get one of these. This stuff has some of the most potent adhesive backing out of anything I've ever peeled before, but just in case, to make sure it's really in all the little crevices, I gotta get it hot. There you go. It is imperative that everything I do right now, I don't rush, because this stuff is super critical even though you don't see it. Everything under the dash will make the difference between this being a reliable, comfortable car to drive or an unreliable rattle trap. You can go with the lower or the upper. I think I like the lower hole better. I'll plug the other two. Where's the head? Just need a little bit of this robot licorice. Form my own little gasket. That should work. Honestly, I could do the same on this side too. Might as well. Ouch, what is up my ass? That's sharp. Power wire. Yep, that'll work right there. Put these 2 power wires in a sleeve. Ouch. This should help alleviate any rattles under the dash, and also, because they are power wires, give a little bit of abrasion protection. Also, this Tessa tape is flame retardant. Factory HVAC vent assembly with clock. Obviously, I'm gonna have to detail the interior of this car when it's done, but you can never clean things too many times. Especially the sides. I'm not gonna be able to get to the sides once it's assembled. Foam it up so I get all the little dust goobers and the cracks. Oh, it's bad on the top side. The insides are really nasty too. That's where the stink comes from and when a car smells old. What the hell? There's none of these plugs are under here. That's why. It's attached to the AC unit. I'm gonna just plug it right in because that way this is still technically wired for AC. I knew I was leaving something out. Pigtail. That guy goes like that. Even though these wires are all wrapped from the factory, I'm going a little above and beyond with the Tessa tape because they didn't use Tessa tape back then. They used like a vinyl tape, and I feel the Tessa makes less noise. So I'm sorry if these aren't the greatest camera angles. It's super hard to film this stuff and get my tripod, my camera inside here, and the lighting is crazy because it's a car with lights outside of it. There is a bracket which bolts to the transmission tunnel that holds that assembly. So that is the actual transmission right there. And in order to access that, I have to cut the hole for the shifter. I've been not wanting to do this. It's just nerve-wracking because if I screw this carpet up, I gotta get another one from Australia. I gotta cut from there to there and there to there. I need my shoes. Let's not slice my finger off. The shifter opening in the carpet has to be precisely trimmed. That way it fits underneath the bracket for the rubber inner boot. It's really hard to do. That goes over it. Console. That's just wedged up in there. Coin holders. The lower portion of the center console in these first generation Celicas is kind of a neat design because the portion in front of the shifter opening is actually incorporated into the floor vent for the HVAC system. This also holds the carpet down in place too. That actually works out really nice. It holds the carpet in place nice and secure so it doesn't start to slip and this hole doesn't become visible off to the sides. Now I have a template, know exactly where to make these holes. This is my inner shift boot. I completely forgot I needed to get a new one. I ordered one, but I don't have it yet. Also, it's the next day. You know what? Before I do this is plastic on plastic. That's gonna rattle if I don't do this. This is super thin, tiny foam adhesive strip. Now I got it on the sides of this panel. That will keep it from rattling. Ooh, and I could do it on the top too. Oh yeah, that's perfect. One of the things that shocked me about this car when I first bought it, that's solid, is when you drive it, there wasn't any squeaks or rattles really on the interior despite how old it was. Yep. Now I can fit all this stuff on here. Bracket version 2.0. This will fit my Can Lambda as well since that needs to be inside the cabin of the car. I'm gonna bolt my cardboard bracket on. So you won't really see this up under the dash because the shelf goes over that area and pretty much hides it. And if you notice right in front of it, that hole in the side of the blower motor, that's where the duct goes up under the dash, so it'll hide all that stuff and you won't see it. If there's ever been a part of this project I've been procrastinating and not looking forward to, it's tackling this. Not because it's wiring, because I actually enjoy doing wiring, but because of where it's located. This is just a highly difficult spot to try to get to, and especially to film. Not to mention that doing this engine swap with a standalone ECU has tripled the amount of wires in this corner. Fix this corner like the passenger side. The original fuse box that used to be underneath the driver's side kick panel area mounted to these brackets on this side panel. So it would make sense to clean this first because if I don't, I'm gonna be working on something that's dirty. A lot easier to make a template for the harness with this out of the car. Cardboard conveniently has perfectly straight lines built into it. No, close enough. So if I mount it at an angle, that actually leaves room for the wires on the back side. I gotta get both the relays and the fuses up. This huge bundle is what goes to the ECU, and this has to go up in there also. Basically, something like that. And then it mounts right here. That allows the box to clear, but these are the tabs. So these tabs are gonna have to get mounted at a different angle. I know that seems confusing. Yep, that works. But trust the process. It'll all make sense after these brackets are cut out and zinc coated. Even though I wired the entire car and got it to start and run, I hated the way I did the power wires for my injectors and my coil packs. I used a 16 gauge wire, which is way above and beyond overkill. Rather than soldering the power wires all to the same branch mid harness like I did before, I'm doing like the factory would and running individual power wires. It's a super minute detail. It probably would have been fine, but the only issue is it could have ended up pulling out from the plug in the future from whenever you remove this plug from the coil pack. Part of building a project car and having it turn out successful and not just a constant problem is doing it right when you know that it's gonna take extra time and may not be the most fun thing in the world. This is the new 18 gauge, and this is the 16 gauge. You can see the wire is so fat that it doesn't fit with the rubber boot down inside the plug. So it's just barely too big. And this is still way more than enough gauge of wire for what it's doing. The factory used a 20 gauge right here. Promise you this is gonna look way cleaner. I'll put the final loom on this after the first drive. This Tessa tape is flame retardant and high heat resistant, so it's literally the perfect stuff for an engine bay. This quick couple second time lapse you're watching of my hands moving at 50,000 miles an hour was about 3 hours of actual labor I did that day. My OCD is very happy now that I'm doing this. So this robot circulatory system looking contraption is my initial power supply that I used for first start. And I don't like how I did it. It's just sloppy looking. It worked, but no matter what, I still have to join all 8 power wires to one that goes to the relay. The maximum this circuit will ever draw at any given point in time is 8 amps. I want to try to keep the bundle as narrow as possible, so I got to do this incrementally. Yeah, stagger them like that, that way I don't have a huge fat blob. Now this engine is going to rev a couple thousand RPMs higher than it did from the factory, so that's why I went overkill, okay, on the wires. I know I did, but I like to be safe. That sucks. I ran out of connectors, and I don't want to use the non-heatable ones. Roll! Holy f***ing shit. This right here is my shielded crank trigger circuit bundle, and as you can see, it's sliced, which I noticed on the first startup because it was giving some weird readings on the crank trigger circuit within the ECU software. The downsides of using a 20-year-old wire from a factory Toyota harness. Black with a red sheath. I don't really like that word. That's a really disgusting word. This wire. This right here is a box which I'll open with an incorrect tool because I don't want to get up and get a knife. Yeah, I win. That is wasteful packaging. This right here is a brand new shielded cable. I have 25 feet of this, so I have enough technically I can do the cam and crank all over again, but the crank and cam don't need it. Oh, I'm gonna have to make a grommet for this too. Snip this. I'm pretty much doing everything in this video that I was putting off because I knew it would be hard to film and put into a video, and now I have to do it at the end to be able to finish this vehicle. And that's adult stuff. That's adult car building. Remember this for me. Red is on the right. Not only is this video difficult to make technically wise, it's also not been easy having just lost ping. I'm trying to stay positive because I know none of that affects any of you. So I turned the storage bin from the Bronco into a bin for this stuff. Carefully performing a robot circumcision here. Red is on the right. Red is on the right. Perfect. Tessa this up. All those cardboard templates I made in the beginning part of this video result in something like this when it's done. It might look like it came from the factory, but this is one of my custom design brackets. Robot cut by the fine people at the custom barbecue shop. Somewhere in this abyss. Ha. That shape look familiar? It's because it matches this shape. I love that. Need to make more of them though. Fresh had way out of match. What I failed to do when I made that bracket though is one for the auxiliary box. It's the following day. If you haven't noticed already, this stuff is extremely time consuming to do. Yes, approximately that big. To replicate how Toyota did it, this little bracket will slide up inside this groove and engage this tab, and this will then mount to the other bracket. 4 full days of labor, and I have 4 full cardboard templates to show for it. I have probably another 4 more brackets that I need to make total. If I screw this up, I screw this up permanently. Man, I forgot to cut out the hole for the seat belt. That was kind of a rookie move. That's some durable carpet. Inspecting before I make it permanent? Let's ignore the fact that it just took me 2 hours to find this hardware. Gotta snip this a little bit. That'll go like that. actually neat how this works. There's these two notches and there's a tab on this, and it allows it to lock into one of these two tabs. I've been waiting to do the edge of the doors by the door sill because the sill is what captures the carpet and ties it all together. I tried using chemical paint stripper on them and it just was not strong enough because the chemicals are bad. And this is just a pain to try to get inside all these little grooves of the wire wheel. The original carpet didn't even go up to the edge of the door sill. It was actually a piece of vinyl that was matched to the interior color. I don't think I need them anymore, but I hope these didn't get squished at all. I don't think they did. Oh, it smells so good. I put the rails on like 6 months ago. And I had this thing powder coated because I had to modify it for this chassis. There we go. There. Oh man. One slight thing that I just dawned on me. The seatbelt interlock system that this has, because it's a 74. And there's no sensors in these seats. I gotta make a bypass. Until I make that little bypass, I'm just gonna leave the seat sitting in the car. At least I can get rid of this massive box in my shop. That is disgusting, and I think it's savable. I'm kind of at the point now where I just work on an area as much as I can, and then when I hit a stopping point because I don't have a part or something is missing, I just move on to the next spot and just keep working. And eventually this will all be done. A little bit of bug and tar remover. This is such an intricate part, I didn't want to take a chance of it getting damaged in the re-zinking process. I mean, for this being 50 years old, I would say that zinc held up pretty good. It's worn away in a couple spots, but to re-zinc this would be impossible because you'd have to take it completely apart and you'd ruin these pins. I'd have to make new pins from scratch and then the tolerances might not be the same. It's almost 6 o'clock in the evening and I have completely run out of time to get any more real accomplished work done in this video for you guys. I'm already uploading this a day late and that hurts in the grand scheme of things for doing this for a living. And this past week has just been really rough. I think it's because you can't communicate with the animal. It makes it really tough. The next video I do on this car, hopefully all the parts will be here so I can get the exhaust fabricated. And I'm gonna keep chipping away at all those little nightmare tiny tasks so I can make this thing drivable. At least the progress I made in this video was tackling all the stuff I didn't want to have to do and I've been putting off. So that made it a lot easier mentally to deal with. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.